Hello, amazing listeners, and welcome back to the Best English Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we're diving deep into a topic that I know is on so many of your minds: speaking English with confidence. It's one thing to understand English, to read it, to even write it well. But when it comes to opening your mouth and letting those words flow, a whole new set of challenges can pop up. Maybe you feel a knot in your stomach, your mind goes blank, or you worry endlessly about making mistakes. Trust me, you are not alone. These feelings are completely normal, and what's even better, they are completely manageable. Today, we're going on a journey together. We'll explore why confidence is such a big deal, tackle the common fears that hold us back, and, most importantly, equip you with practical strategies, real-life stories, and exercises to not just speak English, but to speak it with genuine self-assurance. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's unlock your confident English voice. Before we jump into solutions, let's take a moment to really understand what confidence means in the context of speaking English and why it's so crucial for your language learning journey. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making a mistake. In fact, true confidence often comes from accepting that mistakes are part of the learning process. Instead, it's about trusting yourself. It's about believing in your ability to communicate effectively, even if your English isn't flawless. It's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable and pushing past those moments of doubt. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew the answer, you understood the question, but when it was your turn to speak, the words just wouldn't come out? Or perhaps they did, but they were mumbled, hesitant, or completely different from what you intended. That's often a confidence issue, not a knowledge issue. Confidence is incredibly important for speaking English because, firstly, it impacts your fluency. When you're confident, your thoughts flow more freely. You spend less time second-guessing and more time expressing. This reduces hesitations and makes your speech sound more natural and spontaneous. When those chains are off, you can truly pick up speed. Secondly, it affects comprehension. Believe it or not, when you speak confidently, others are more likely to understand you. Your clear articulation, steady pace, and positive demeanor convey your message more effectively. Even if you mispronounce a word or use slightly incorrect grammar, your confidence can often bridge that gap, making it easier for listeners to grasp your meaning. It's like a spotlight on your words, even if a few letters are a little blurry. Thirdly, it opens doors. Whether it's for a job interview, a casual chat with a new friend at a coffee shop, or navigating a foreign country, speaking English confidently allows you to seize opportunities. It helps you connect with people on a deeper level, express your unique personality, and fully participate in life's rich tapestry. Think of all the connections you could make, the experiences you could have, simply by letting your voice be heard. And finally, it boosts your overall well-being. There's a profound sense of accomplishment and liberation that comes with being able to express yourself freely in another language. It reduces anxiety, builds self-esteem, and makes the entire language learning process much more enjoyable and sustainable. It transforms language learning from a chore into an exciting adventure. Now, let's talk about the silent enemies of confidence: fear and anxiety. They're like little whispers in your ear, telling you to hold back. Let's identify some of these common fears and confront them head-on. It's completely natural to feel a bit nervous when speaking a new language, especially when you're still learning. But for many, these nerves can escalate into genuine fear or anxiety. turning what should be an exciting challenge into a daunting obstacle. Let's identify some of these common fears and confront them head-on so we can dismantle their power over us. The biggest fear is often the fear of making mistakes. We worry about mispronouncing a word, using the wrong tense, or completely forgetting a piece of vocabulary. We picture people judging us, perhaps even laughing at us, or worse, thinking we're not intelligent. It's like standing on a stage, but instead of focusing on your performance, you're constantly worried about tripping. I remember my first solo trip to Madrid, Spain, and how excited I was to truly immerse myself in the language. My Spanish was, well, let's call it enthusiastic but limited. I had practiced ordering food in my head 100 times. Quiero pollo con arroz, por favor, which means I want chicken with rice, please. Simple, right? A phrase I thought I had perfectly memorized. So, I walked into a bustling restaurant full of locals. The waiter came and I took a deep breath. My mind raced for a split second, and then, in my eagerness, what came out was, Quiero pollo con ojos, por favor, which, to my horror, meant, I want chicken with eyes, please. The waiter, a kind man, paused. His eyebrows went up slightly, and then a small, polite smile touched his lips. He looked at me, then at his pad, then back at me, clearly trying to figure out if I was serious. My face, I swear, turned the color of a ripe tomato. I felt that familiar flush of embarrassment spread from my neck right up to my ears. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. I quickly blurted out, No, arroz! Arroz! Gesturing wildly to the rice on a nearby plate. He chuckled softly, corrected me gently, and took my order. The food was delicious, but for the rest of the meal and for days afterward, I replayed that moment. Every time I thought of it, I felt a fresh wave of mortification. It took me a while and a lot of reflection to realize that his reaction wasn't judgment. It was just mild confusion, followed by genuine helpfulness. He didn't think I was stupid, he just thought I made a funny mistake, which, to be fair, I did. That experience, as painful as it felt in the moment, taught me an invaluable lesson. Mistakes are not the end of the world. They're often just a funny story in the making, or a chance for someone to help you learn. And often, people are far kinder and more understanding than our inner critic leads us to believe. This fear is truly unhelpful, because it's a barrier to practice. If you're afraid to make mistakes, you won't speak. And if you don't speak, guess what? You won't improve. It's a vicious, self-defeating cycle that keeps you stuck. Let me repeat this. Everyone makes mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes in their own language all the time. Imagine if you never spoke your native language because you were afraid of saying something wrong. It's simply not a realistic expectation. Most importantly, mistakes are learning opportunities. Each error you make is a piece of valuable feedback telling you exactly what you need to work on. They are like signposts on your learning journey, guiding you. They are valuable lessons, not failures or embarrassments. Another common fear is the fear of being judged or laughed at. This fear often goes hand in hand with the fear of making mistakes. We imagine a critical audience, ready to pounce on our imperfections, to dissect every stumble. This is often an amplified version of what's called the spotlight effect, where we overestimate how much attention other people are paying to us. The truth is, most people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. People are generally focused on their own lives, their own thoughts, and their own communication. When you're speaking English, especially to a native speaker or someone fluent, Their primary goal is usually to understand you and to communicate effectively. They are usually impressed that you are even attempting to speak another language. And if someone does judge you negatively for making an effort, that says far more about them than it does about you. Their negativity reflects on them, not on your admirable effort. I once attended a large international conference, and one of the speakers was a scientist from Japan. His English, while technically proficient, had a very strong accent, and he occasionally mixed up words. I could see the initial nervousness on his face, but what happened next was incredible. Instead of apologizing for his English, he started his presentation by saying with a warm smile, "Good morning, everyone. Please forgive my English. I am a scientist, not a poet, but I promise you my research is very clear." The audience chuckled warmly. Throughout his talk, he made a few minor grammatical errors, but he spoke with such passion, conviction, and a clear desire to share his knowledge that, frankly, no one cared about the imperfections. His confidence in his message completely overshadowed any linguistic slips. By the end, he received a standing ovation, not just for his excellent research, but for his authentic and confident delivery, accent, and all. He taught me that your genuine desire to communicate is far more powerful than any fear of judgment. There's also the fear of not being understood. This is a very valid concern, especially if you have a strong accent or struggle with certain sounds. It can be incredibly frustrating to feel like you're speaking into a void, putting in effort, but the message just isn't getting through. This fear can certainly be addressed through targeted practice, and by understanding that clear communication isn't just about perfect pronunciation. It's also about intonation, the musicality of your voice, your rhythm, body language, and providing enough context. We'll explore strategies to improve clarity later on, but remember, the effort to be understood is key, and most listeners will meet you halfway. Then we have the fear of sounding unintelligent or childish. When your vocabulary is limited or your grammar isn't perfect, you might feel like you can't express complex thoughts or your true personality, leading to a feeling of sounding less intelligent or capable than you truly are. It's like having a brilliant mind trapped behind a language barrier. Please remember, your intelligence is absolutely not defined by your English proficiency. You are a smart person embarking on the challenging yet incredibly rewarding journey of learning a new skill. Embrace the simpler language initially. Over time, as your skills grow, so will your ability to express more nuanced and sophisticated ideas. Focus on conveying your message clearly, even if it's with simpler words. Simplicity often leads to greater clarity anyway. Finally, there's the fear of silence or awkward pauses. The pressure to keep the conversation flowing can lead to panic when you can't immediately find the right words, resulting in those long, uncomfortable silences. It feels like everyone is waiting, judging your delay. Here's a secret: it's perfectly okay to pause. A short pause for thought is much better than rushing into something you're unsure of, or just staying silent forever, completely freezing up. You can even use natural filler words like well, or polite phrases like "let me think for a moment" or "just a second." These are natural parts of conversation in any language, even among native speakers. They buy you precious seconds to collect your thoughts. Now that we've acknowledged our fears, let's stop just talking about them and start building. We're going to construct a strong foundation of practical strategies to help you overcome these anxieties. Think of these as the essential pillars supporting your English confidence, each one strengthening your ability to speak freely. The first pillar is practice, practice, practice. This might sound like the most obvious advice in the world, but it's the most fundamental. You can't get confident without doing the thing you want to be confident in. It's like learning to swim. You can read all the books, but eventually, you have to get in the water. Start simple, in a safe space, your own home. Describe your day to yourself in English. Narrate your actions as you do them. Now I'm making coffee. I'm pouring the water into the kettle. The water is boiling. Describe objects around you. This is a blue mug. It's ceramic and feels warm. This isn't just talking to yourself. It's building crucial muscle memory for your mouth and brain, getting used to the physical act of forming English words. Another fantastic technique is shadowing. Listen to a native speaker on a podcast, a YouTube video, a movie clip, or even a news report, and try to imitate their speech as closely as possible. Don't just repeat words. Try to mimic their rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation. Don't worry about understanding every single word at first. Focus on the sounds and the flow. This is fantastic for improving your pronunciation and natural rhythm, helping you sound more like a native speaker, not a robot. Also, read aloud. Choose an English book, an article from an online newspaper, or even a script like this one, and read it aloud. This helps you connect the written word to the spoken sound, improving your reading fluency and your speaking flow. You'll notice how sentences are structured and how they sound when spoken naturally. And don't forget to voice record yourself. This might feel incredibly awkward at first. You might cringe at the sound of your own voice, but it's an incredibly effective tool. Record yourself speaking for a few minutes, then listen back objectively. You'll hear areas where you hesitate, where your pronunciation might be unclear, or where your grammar needs work. Don't judge yourself harshly. Use it as a powerful, personalized tool for self-correction. It's like having a private tutor available 24/7. As a practical exercise, every day for 1 week, commit to recording a 1-minute audio diary entry. Talk about anything, your day, your feelings, something interesting you learned, a plan for tomorrow, or even just what you see outside your window. The goal isn't perfection. It's simply to speak continuously for 1 minute. At the end of the week, listen to all 7 recordings. Can you hear improvement from day 1 to day 7? Can you identify common errors or patterns? This is your personalized feedback loop, a powerful way to track progress and pinpoint areas for focus. The second pillar is to embrace imperfection. This is about fundamentally changing your internal narrative. It's about silencing that nagging voice that says, "It has to be perfect." Your ultimate goal is communication, not linguistic perfection. Focus on getting your message across clearly and effectively, even if it's not grammatically flawless. A clear message delivered confidently is far more effective and impressive than a perfectly phrased sentence delivered hesitantly or not at all. Reframe mistakes as learning opportunities. Instead of the disheartening thought, "Oh no, I made a mistake, I'm terrible," try telling yourself, that's something I can learn from. Thank you, mistake, for showing me where I can improve." Every error you make is a piece of valuable feedback, a valuable step closer to fluency. It means you're trying, you're putting yourself out there, and trying is the most important thing you can do. Also, use the power of yet. If you find yourself thinking or saying, "I can't speak English confidently," immediately try adding yet to the end. I can't speak English confidently yet. This small word opens up the possibility of future growth and improvement. It shifts your perspective from a fixed limitation to a temporary state. And finally, focus on progress, not perfection. Actively celebrate small victories. Did you hold a short conversation you wouldn't have attempted last month? Did you understand a complex sentence in a movie? Did you successfully express a new idea you've never tried before? Acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it seems. These small wins build momentum and reinforce positive habits. Maria, a dedicated listener from Brazil, wrote to me a few months ago. She was an advanced English learner in terms of reading and listening. She could devour novels and understand complex documentaries. But when it came to speaking, she froze. Her anxiety was debilitating. She told me, "Sophia, I can write perfect essays, but I can barely introduce myself without my heart racing. I'm terrified of making a fool of myself." I suggested she try changing her perspective on mistakes. Instead of seeing them as failures, she started journaling about them. Every time she made a mistake in conversation, no matter how small, she would write it down, figure out the correct way to say it, and then, crucially, she would congratulate herself for discovering a new learning point. She called these her aha moments. One memorable day, she was talking to a native English speaker, confidently recounting a recent trip. In her excitement, she accidentally said, "I'm pregnant with an idea," instead of the more common, "I'm full of ideas," or "I have a new idea." There was a brief, confused pause, and then the other person's eyes widened slightly in amusement. Maria felt that familiar blush creeping up. But then, remembering her new mindset, she didn't panic. She just smiled, corrected herself immediately. "Oh, my apologies. I have many ideas, a lot of new thoughts." And she laughed along with the other person, who was now genuinely amused rather than judgmental. She wrote to me later that week, "Sophia, for the very first time, a mistake felt like a moment of connection and shared humor, not shame. I just let it go and kept talking, and the conversation flowed again. It freed me." Maria realized that letting go of the need for perfection was the key to unlocking her voice. The third pillar is to expand your comfort zone. You can't just jump from 0 to fluent. That's like expecting to run a marathon after only walking around the block. It's about taking small, manageable, incremental steps, consistently pushing your boundaries just a little bit. Begin with very low-stakes conversations. Talk to yourself, to your mirror, to a trusted friend who is also learning, or even your pet. Then, gradually move to online language exchange partners who are in the same boat as you. The pressure is minimal, and the support is high. Also, try role-playing. Practice common scenarios that often cause anxiety. Role-play ordering food in a restaurant, asking for directions, making small talk about the weather, or introducing yourself. Do this with a language partner, or even by yourself, acting out both sides of the conversation. This prepares you mentally and verbally for real-life interactions. You can also join English-speaking groups or communities. Look for online forums, local meetups in your area, or online clubs where English is spoken, even if it's by other learners. Even if you don't speak much at first, just listening and being present is a huge step forward. You'll absorb the rhythm of conversation and feel more comfortable in an English-speaking environment. When you feel a bit more comfortable, actively seek out opportunities to engage with native speakers. Remember, most are very patient, curious about your culture, and genuinely happy to help you practice. Don't wait until you feel perfect. Just try. For an exercise, challenge yourself to have at least one 5-minute English conversation every day this week. It can be with anyone, a language exchange partner, a colleague, a friend, a teacher, or even a customer service representative if the situation allows. The goal isn't perfect conversation, but simply to initiate and sustain a conversation for 5 minutes. Focus on keeping the ball rolling. After each conversation, quickly note down one thing you did well and one thing you want to improve next time. This quick reflection reinforces good habits and identifies areas for growth. The fourth pillar is to focus on communication. Ultimately, the entire purpose of language is to communicate. Don't let your desire for linguistic precision overshadow your goal of simply getting your message across. Prioritize meaning over grammar. If you can get your message across, even with grammatical errors or slightly awkward phrasing, that's a success. The nuances of grammar and pronunciation will improve with time and consistent practice. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Use simpler language initially. Don't feel pressured to use complex vocabulary or convoluted sentence structures if you're unsure. Express your ideas clearly and directly with the words you know. Clarity beats complexity every single time, especially when you're building confidence. You can also utilize paraphrasing and describing. If you don't know a specific word, try to explain it using other words you know. For example, instead of "I need a screwdriver," say "I need that tool for turning screws." Or if you can't remember fridge, say "the cold box where you keep food." This shows resourcefulness and keeps the conversation flowing without getting stuck. And finally, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Don't be afraid or embarrassed to say, "Could you please rephrase that?" Or "Could you explain what you mean by?" Or "I'm not sure I understand. Could you rephrase it?" This doesn't make you sound unintelligent. It shows you're engaged, actively listening, and genuinely eager to understand. Most people appreciate this effort. We've covered the foundational pillars, the essential building blocks for confidence. Now, let's explore some more advanced techniques that will not only boost your confidence, but also significantly enhance the quality and naturalness of your English interactions. These are the details that truly make a difference. First, master the art of active listening and responding. Communication isn't a monologue, it's a dynamic two-way street. Being a good, active listener is just as important as being a good speaker, and it directly contributes to your speaking confidence. When you truly listen, you're better equipped to respond naturally and effectively. Listen for understanding, not just for speaking. This is a common trap for language learners. We often listen to identify our turn to speak or to formulate our next sentence. Instead, truly focus on understanding what the other person is saying. This helps you formulate relevant, natural, and thoughtful responses rather than pre-planned or disjointed ones. Show you're listening. Let the other person know you're engaged by using short, acknowledging phrases like, "I see," "right," "uh-huh," "exactly," "that makes sense," "got it." Non-verbal cues like nodding, maintaining appropriate eye contact, and leaning slightly forward also show attentiveness and encourage the speaker. You can also paraphrase to confirm understanding. After someone explains something, try rephrasing it in your own words to confirm your understanding. So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that the main challenge is X, or "let me make sure I've got this." You're suggesting we focus on Y. This shows you're engaged, gives you a moment to process, and clarifies any potential misunderstandings. And always ask follow-up questions. Don't just answer and stop. Show genuine interest by asking open-ended follow-up questions. Could you elaborate on that? What do you mean by X? How did that make you feel when that happened? What happened next? This extends the conversation naturally and demonstrates your curiosity. For practice, try the echo and extend technique. With a language partner, a willing friend, or even by imagining a conversation in your head, try this. When the other person finishes speaking, briefly echo what they said and then extend. For example, if person A says, "I had a really busy day today. I was running errands all morning, picking up groceries and mailing packages," you could echo, "So you had a lot of errands to do this morning, like groceries and packages," and then extend, "That sounds exhausting. Did you manage to get everything done before lunch?" This technique forces you to actively listen, process the information, and then naturally contribute to the conversation, making your responses feel more connected and less forced. Second, own your accent. Many learners feel self-conscious about their accent, believing they need to sound native or erase their linguistic origins. This belief can be a huge barrier to confidence. Let's be very clear. Your accent is a part of who you are. It tells a story about your background, your culture, your journey, and the beautiful diversity of our world. The goal isn't to erase your accent. The goal is to make it comprehensible and clear. No one expects you to sound like a native speaker from a specific region unless you're an actor specializing in accents. Focus on intelligibility, not eradication. Work on specific sounds or intonation patterns that genuinely hinder understanding. For instance, if your native language commonly confuses L and R sounds, work on distinguishing them. If certain vowel sounds are consistently misheard, practice those. A speech therapist or online pronunciation guides can help identify these specific problem areas. Listen to and appreciate different accents. English is a global language, spoken with an incredibly vast array of accents. Exposing yourself to diverse accents will help you understand that there's no single correct way to sound. It broadens your auditory perception and reduces your self-consciousness. Practice problematic sounds in context. Identify the English sounds that are difficult for you and practice them specifically. There are many online resources and pronunciation guides for this. Use minimal pairs, which are words that differ by only one sound, like ship and sheep, to train your ear and mouth. And finally, embrace it. Many people find accents charming, interesting, and even beautiful. Don't let it be a source of shame or insecurity. Let it be a point of cultural connection and a part of your unique voice. Your accent often makes you memorable. Dr. Chen, a brilliant and highly skilled surgeon from China, came to me seeking help specifically with his spoken English. He was incredibly knowledgeable, but his strong Chinese accent, coupled with some rapid speech, sometimes made it challenging for his patients and colleagues to fully understand complex medical instructions or explanations. He was deeply self-conscious, worried that his accent diminished his authority and professionalism in the eyes of his patients. We spent a lot of time discussing this. I explained that the goal wasn't to eliminate his accent. That would be unrealistic and unnecessary, but to improve its intelligibility. We focused on clarity over accent reduction. We worked on specific vowel sounds that were often misheard, the rhythm and stress patterns of his sentences, and the intonation of his questions and statements. Crucially, we also practiced using simpler, more direct language when explaining medical terms, breaking down jargon into easily digestible pieces. After a few months of consistent practice, Dr. Chen's accent was still present, and wonderfully so. But his speech was remarkably clearer, slower when necessary, and more deliberate. He was understood better by his patients, who reported feeling more comfortable and informed, and his colleagues complimented his improved communication. His confidence soared. He realized that effective communication wasn't about sounding like someone else, but about being clearly understood as himself. His accent became a recognizable and respected part of his professional identity, not a hindrance. Third, develop go-to phrases and filler words. Sometimes you just need a moment to think, a polite way to enter a conversation or a smooth way to exit. Having a mental bank of ready-made phrases can significantly reduce anxiety and make you feel more in control. For thinking time, try. Let me see. Zrenia, това е добър въпрос. Swing, just a moment, please. Zrenia, I need a second to think about that. Logically, or, I haven't thought about that before. For agreement? Exactly. Logically. Zrenia, вы попали в точку. This means you've described it perfectly, or simply, I totally agree with that, and that's so true. For polite disagreement, I see your point, but I also think. Zrenia, I'm not sure I quite agree with that, because. Зрение. Это интересный взгляд, однако я склонен верить. Зрение, or I understand what you're saying, but I have a slightly different view. For clarification, could you explain that in a different way, please? Swing. I'm not quite following you. Could you clarify? Logically, what exactly do you mean by swing or sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it? For conversation starters, how's your day going so far? Logically, did you do anything interesting this past weekend? Logically, what do you think about current event topic? Зрение или я только что подумал, а вы когда-нибудь? And for conversation closers, it was great talking to you. Зрение. Well, I should probably get going, let you go. Swing. I really enjoyed our chat. Thanks for sharing. Swing or I'll catch you later or see you around. Then there are filler words. Use them sparingly and naturally, like a light seasoning rather than a heavy crutch. These include which are very natural but don't overuse them to the point of distraction. Also like, which is very common, especially in informal speech, but can be overused and sound less articulate. Basically and kind of or sort of. These words buy you time to organize your thoughts and make your speech sound more natural and less robotic. Fourth, visualize success and positive self-talk. Confidence isn't just about what you do externally. It's profoundly influenced by what you think and say to yourself internally. Your inner voice can be your greatest cheerleader or your harshest critic. Let's make it your cheerleader. Start your day by telling yourself positive things. Simple phrases like, I am a capable English speaker. I will communicate clearly today. Every mistake is a step forward, not a setback. Say them out loud, look at yourself in the mirror, and truly feel them. Before a potentially challenging conversation, a presentation, or even just meeting new people, close your eyes for a minute. Imagine yourself speaking confidently, articulating your thoughts clearly, being understood, and even enjoying the interaction. Picture yourself smiling, making eye contact, and the words flowing smoothly. This mental rehearsal prepares your brain for success. When a negative thought like, I'm going to sound stupid, or they'll think my English is terrible pops up, immediately acknowledge it, then actively counter it with a positive, realistic one. No, I'm going to try my best, and that's enough. Or, I'm a language learner, and it's okay to make mistakes. I'm improving every day. Don't let negative thoughts take root. Instead of dwelling on what you can't do yet or your perceived weaknesses, actively acknowledge and appreciate what you can do. Maybe your listening skills are excellent, or your vocabulary is surprisingly strong, or you're good at explaining things. Build on those existing strengths. They are your foundation for further growth. Liam, an aspiring software engineer from Korea, was preparing for a crucial job interview entirely in English at a multinational tech company. He knew he had the technical skills for the job inside and out, but his fear of speaking English under pressure was overwhelming him. He confessed, "Sophia, I keep imagining myself stammering, forgetting words, and ultimately failing. My mind goes blank." He was in a spiral of negative self-talk. I encouraged him to shift his focus dramatically to positive self-talk and consistent visualization. Every morning for a week leading up to the interview, he would spend 5 minutes consciously imagining the interview going well, himself answering questions clearly and articulately, confidently making eye contact with the interviewers, explaining his projects with ease, and even laughing easily during a light moment. He also started reminding himself throughout the day, "I am prepared. I know this material. I can do this. My English is good enough to convey my skills." On the day of the interview, he told me he still felt a natural amount of nervousness. That's normal for anyone, but the overwhelming panic and blankness he'd feared were gone. He walked in, took a deep breath, and started speaking. He told me afterward, "Sophia, it wasn't perfect, of course. I still had a few moments of searching for a word or a tiny grammatical slip. But because I had mentally prepared myself for success and for handling those small hiccups, I didn't let those moments derail me. I just acknowledged them, corrected myself if needed, and kept going. My confidence stayed with me." He got the job, and a significant part of that success was his newfound ability to manage his inner thoughts and project confidence. We've covered a lot of ground today, from unmasking fears to building confidence pillars and polishing your conversational skills. Now, let's wrap up with some actionable, concrete exercises you can start doing right away, along with valuable resources to support your continuous journey. Consistency is key here. For an exercise, try the "what if" rehearsal. This is fantastic for anticipating common conversational challenges and mentally rehearsing how you'll handle them. It reduces surprise and anxiety. Think of a specific situation where you often feel nervous speaking English. This could be anything: making small talk at a party, asking for directions, giving an opinion in a group meeting, making a complaint, or even ordering food at a new restaurant. Then, brainstorm the worst things that could happen in this scenario. Be specific. For example, what if I don't understand their question at all? Or, what if I forget a key word I need? Or, what if they laugh at my accent or my mistake? Or, what if I can't think of anything to say? For each "what if," script your response. Write down how you would respond politely, calmly, and effectively. For instance, if you don't understand a question, you could say, "Could you please rephrase that for me?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it slowly?" Or, "I'm not sure I understood the last part. What did you mean by X?" If you forget a key word, you could say, "I'm looking for the word for," describe the thing. It's the item you use to explain its function. Or simply, "I'm sorry, the word is on the tip of my tongue." Or, "What's the English word for your native language word?" If you can't think of anything to say, try. "That's an interesting point. I need a moment to think about that." Or, "I haven't really considered that before. What are your thoughts?" Now, practice these scenarios. Role play them by yourself, out loud, or with a trusted language partner. The more you mentally and verbally prepare for potential difficulties, the less intimidating they become in real life. You're building a mental contingency plan. Another great exercise is the story time challenge. This helps you practice speaking for longer, uninterrupted stretches, connecting ideas, and improving your narrative flow. Choose a simple personal topic, something you know well and can talk about for a few minutes. Examples include your favorite holiday, a funny childhood memory, your typical daily routine, a hobby you love, a recent movie you watched, or a memorable trip. Now, set a timer for 2 to 3 minutes. Tell a story about your chosen topic in English. The crucial rule: don't stop talking until the timer goes off, even if you make mistakes, hesitate, or have to rephrase. Just keep the words flowing. This trains your brain to push through awkward pauses. Record yourself using your phone or computer. Afterward, listen back. Ask yourself, what went well? For example, I used good vocabulary there, or my pronunciation of X improved, or I spoke for 2 minutes straight. Then ask, what could be improved? For example, I kept saying here, or I struggled to connect these two sentences smoothly, or I repeated that phrase too often. Don't dwell on errors, just notice them objectively as areas for future growth. Finally, retell the story. Try telling the same story a few hours later or the next day, actively trying to incorporate your improvements. You'll be amazed at how much smoother, more coherent, and more confident your narration becomes with just a little practice. And finally, for an exercise, try the opinion expressor. This helps you formulate and articulate your thoughts and engage in discussions which are crucial for confident communication. Pick a neutral, discussable topic, something that has two sides but isn't overly sensitive. Examples include, is reading physical books better than ebooks? Zrania, what are the pros and cons of working from home versus in an office? Logically, should students have longer summer holidays? Zrania, or is social media good or bad for society? Take 1 to 2 minutes to think about your stance on the topic. What do you believe? Why? Then, for 1 to 2 minutes, speak your opinion aloud. Explain it clearly and concisely. Provide at least 2 reasons or examples to support your viewpoint. Practice using phrases for giving opinions. I think. Zrania, I believe that. Zrania. If you want a bonus challenge, think about what someone might say to disagree with you. How would you politely and confidently respond to their points? This prepares you for real-life debate and strengthens your ability to defend your ideas. Even better, if you have a language partner, try to have this discussion with them. It's an excellent way to practice expressing and defending your opinions in real time. For recommended resources for your journey, I highly suggest language exchange apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, or Speaky. These apps connect you with native speakers who are learning your language, allowing for mutually beneficial conversation practice via text, audio messages, and voice calls. They're a fantastic, low-pressure way to start. Also, explore online communities and forums like Reddit's Our English Learning or Our Language Learning, Facebook groups for English learners, or Discord servers focused on language exchange. These platforms are gold mines for finding practice partners, asking questions without judgment, sharing your experiences, and getting encouragement. On YouTube, a treasure trove. Look for channels focusing specifically on conversational English, pronunciation, common phrases, idioms, and even cultural nuances. Find hosts whose teaching style you enjoy. Branch out. While this podcast focuses on learning, listening to podcasts on topics you genuinely enjoy, like hobbies, news, or storytelling, that are for native speakers is invaluable. This exposes you to natural speed, vocabulary, and authentic conversation. Start with something simple, then gradually challenge yourself. Always use online dictionaries with pronunciation. Websites like forvo.com offer user-submitted pronunciations by native speakers from various regions, and Oxford Learners Dictionaries and Cambridge Dictionary are essential for checking how words sound, not just what they mean. Use them constantly. Finally, try speech recognition tools like Google Docs voice typing, which you can find under tools greater than voice typing, or apps like ELSA Speak or Pronunciation Power. These tools give you instant, objective feedback on your pronunciation. Speak into your microphone, and the software tells you how accurately it understood you. It's a great way to self-correct. As we come to the end of our deep dive into speaking English with confidence, I want to emphasize one crucial point. This is a journey, not a destination. There will be good days and bad days. There will be moments of triumph when the words flow effortlessly, and moments of frustration when you feel stuck. And let me assure you, that is absolutely 100% normal. Every single language learner, even highly advanced ones, experiences this. Confidence isn't something you acquire once and then you have it forever, like a diploma. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like any muscle, if you neglect it, it will weaken. So, continuous engagement is key. So, how do you sustain this confidence and keep growing, even when the path feels a little rocky? First, be kind to yourself. This is perhaps the most important advice. Treat yourself with the same patience, understanding, and encouragement you would offer a dear friend. You are learning a complex, beautiful, and challenging skill. It takes time, effort, and perseverance. Don't beat yourself up over mistakes. Celebrate your efforts and your resilience. Second, celebrate every single step. Seriously, make a conscious effort to acknowledge every small victory, no matter how insignificant it seems. Did you ask a question in English today you were nervous about? Did you understand a tricky phrase in a song? Did you successfully correct a mistake mid-sentence? Did you simply start a conversation? Pat yourself on the back. These small wins compound into significant progress and build momentum. Third, find your tribe. Connect with other English learners, either online or in person. Share your struggles, celebrate your successes, and motivate each other. Knowing you're not alone in your challenges and seeing others overcome similar hurdles is incredibly empowering and inspiring. Meet David, a young man from Germany who is passionate about online multiplayer video games. He loved playing with people from all over the world, but he was always silent in the voice chat, terrified to speak English. He could understand most of what was said, but the thought of opening his mouth filled him with dread. One day, feeling particularly frustrated, he stumbled upon an online gaming community specifically for non-native English speakers who wanted to practice. It wasn't a formal language class. It was just a group of gamers who agreed to communicate in English during their play sessions, and most importantly, were incredibly supportive of each other's efforts. David hesitated for weeks, but finally he joined a voice chat. His first few sentences were hesitant, filled with pauses. But when he made a small grammatical error, instead of laughing, someone just gently rephrased his sentence correctly and said, "Ah, you mean, I have already seen that. No worries, it happens." The immediate support and lack of judgment were transformative. Within months, David was actively participating, strategizing with his team, and even cracking jokes in English. His confidence soared. not just in gaming, but in his everyday English interactions. He realized that a supportive community, where everyone is making an effort, is one of the most powerful motivators for breaking through speaking fear. He found his tribe, and it made all the difference. Fourth, embrace the messiness. Authentic conversations are full of hesitations, repetitions, self-corrections, and imperfect sentences. That's what makes communication human and genuine. Don't strive for robotic perfection. Strive for authentic connection and clear communication. And finally, never stop learning. The most confident speakers are often those who are also the most enthusiastic and humble learners. Stay curious, keep exploring new vocabulary, new expressions, new cultural nuances, and new ways to communicate. The world of English is vast and fascinating, and there's always something new to discover. Remember Maria, who transformed her fear of mistakes into a source of laughter and connection? Or Dr. Chen, who mastered clarity while beautifully preserving his unique accent? Liam, who harnessed the power of visualization to triumph in his crucial job interview? And David, who found his confidence in a supportive online gaming community? Their stories and countless others show that confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about managing your fear and taking action despite it. It's about showing up even when you're a little bit scared. You have all the tools within you to become a confident English speaker. You have the inherent intelligence. You have the strong desire, and now you have a practical roadmap of strategies and exercises. The only thing left to do is to start speaking. Take that first step, say that first sentence, no matter how simple, make that first mistake and laugh it off. And know that with each word, each conversation, each moment of putting yourself out there, you are building not just your English skills, but also an incredible, resilient sense of self-belief that will serve you in all areas of your life. You've got this. Your confident English voice is waiting to be heard. Thank you for joining me on the Best English podcast today. I truly hope this episode has inspired you and given you the courage to embrace your English speaking journey with renewed confidence. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Until next time, keep speaking English, keep growing, and keep being amazing. Bye for now.